Trading is brutal. Most people think it is just about finding the right setup or spotting the perfect candlestick pattern, but the truth is far more psychological. You could have the cleanest charts, the most precise indicators, and still fail consistently if your mind isn't ready. The first sign that you are on the path to becoming a profitable trader is subtle, quiet, almost invisible to anyone else watching you trade, but glaringly obvious to you. It is the moment you stop forcing trades. In the beginning, trading feels like a race, a constant chase after profits, a fear that if you don't act immediately, the opportunity will vanish forever. You sit in front of your screen, restless, watching price move in waves, desperate to jump in, thinking every moment that passes is a chance lost. It is exhausting, and it destroys both your account and your mind. You enter trades because you feel you must, not because the market is offering a true opportunity. You justify each impulsive action, telling yourself that this one will be different, this one is certain, this one is safe. But deep down, you already know it isn't. Then, one day, something shifts. You notice it without even trying to label it. You sit at your desk, charts open, and the urge to trade every move has diminished. You no longer feel like the market is controlling you, and suddenly, you realize that patience has become comfortable. You don't feel the need to jump into every setup because your mind has started recognizing that quality over quantity is the secret. You see the same charts you've watched 1,000 times, but instead of feeling restless, your heartbeat is steady, your mind clear, your decisions calm. You are beginning to separate emotion from action. This change doesn't happen overnight. It comes slowly, like the tide pulling back to reveal the patterns beneath the water. At first, you might try to fight it, thinking you are missing something. You tell yourself, just one more trade, just one more setup. Maybe this one will make up for all the ones you missed. But then, you notice something remarkable. The more you wait, the calmer you feel, the more clarity arrives. Trades begin to matter less in isolation and more as part of a broader strategy. You start thinking in sequences, in probabilities, in how a single position fits into the story of your account over weeks and months. The beauty of this is not just in the money you save by avoiding bad trades. It is in the mental space it creates. When you stop forcing trades, you free yourself from the chaos that grips most traders. You no longer experience the emotional roller coaster that comes from entering positions out of fear, greed, or boredom. Every trade becomes intentional, every move measured, every loss understood as part of a system rather than a personal failure. You start to see that control is not about making every trade profitable. It is about being disciplined enough to only take the trades that truly align with your edge. The second sign that emerges as you move toward consistent profitability is that you begin respecting small losses the same way a business owner respects expenses. In the past, a losing trade would feel like a personal insult, a reflection of your worth, your intelligence, or your skill. You would watch a red candle with a tight stop and feel a knot tighten in your stomach, frustration boiling, and the immediate urge to revenge trade. Losing felt catastrophic, even if it was $10, $20, or $50. Now, you start to see losses differently. You recognize that every trade has a risk, and that risk is not a threat but a cost of doing business. You mentally account for it, just as a shopkeeper accounts for rent, electricity, and supplies. You accept it, almost casually, and you move on. The trade ended, your stop was hit, and nothing about your ability or intelligence has changed. You don't rage, you don't doubt yourself, you don't look for someone or something to blame. You simply log the result, analyze if your edge was followed correctly, and prepare for the next opportunity. This perspective changes everything. When small losses stop being personal, they stop generating fear, and fear is the poison that destroys trading accounts. You no longer have to fight against your own mind. You trade as a trader, not as a gambler, not as someone chasing validation or ego. You develop the mindset of a professional. Every small loss is a step in the process, not a reason to quit. You begin to understand that a single trade is just a moment, a tiny ripple in the vast ocean of the market, and that your job is not to avoid all losses, but to manage them, to execute your plan, and to allow the cumulative effect of disciplined decisions to compound into consistent profits. Before we dive deeper, let me ask you this. Are you struggling with fear, doubt, or overtrading? The truth is, most people don't fail because of bad strategies, they fail because of bad psychology. That's why I created my ebook, Master Your Mind, Master Your Trades. It's packed with practical steps to control your emotions, stay disciplined and trade like a pro. If you're ready to take your trading to the next level, check the link in the description and pinned comment and grab your copy today. Now let's continue. At this stage, you start noticing patterns in yourself that were invisible before. You see, when your impatience flares, and you catch it before it turns into a forced trade. You recognize when excitement clouds judgment, and you pause, breathe, and reset. You become aware of how emotions influence your decisions, and take deliberate steps to counteract them. You understand that trading is as much about mastering yourself as it is about mastering the charts. You start applying techniques to stay centered, from pre-market routines to journaling, to reflecting not just on what happened, but why it happened and how you reacted. The first two signs, stopping forced trades and respecting small losses, are interconnected. One feeds the other. When you stop forcing trades, you naturally experience fewer emotional swings, and when you respect small losses, you reinforce the patience needed to wait for the right setups. These habits form the foundation of consistency. They are invisible to anyone watching you trade, but essential to your internal development. You feel the difference in your confidence, your clarity, and your ability to make decisions without urgency or panic. Even more important, this stage trains your mind to think in terms of processes rather than outcomes. Before, a winning trade would make you feel invincible, and a losing trade would crush your confidence. Now, the result of a single trade doesn't dictate your mood or your decisions. You follow your rules, you execute your strategy, you respect your stops, and you trust your edge. The market may win some, you may win some, but your mindset remains steady, unshakable, and focused on the long term. There will still be moments of doubt, moments when old habits try to creep back, moments when a small loss feels personal, or when the temptation to chase an opportunity is strong. That is natural. Growth never happens in a vacuum. The difference is that these moments no longer control you. They become signals, reminders to pause, breathe, and return to your principles. You are learning to respond, not react. You are learning to observe, not act impulsively. You are learning to build the mental muscles that turn a chaotic, unpredictable market into a field of opportunity. By the time these first two signs fully take root, you notice a subtle but profound change in your trading rhythm. Your confidence is no longer fragile, dependent on winning streaks or external validation. Your focus sharpens, your patience deepens, and your awareness of the market and yourself becomes almost instinctual. You start to realize that trading is not about fighting the market or proving anything to yourself, but about observing, waiting, and acting when the probabilities are in your favor. The patience, the discipline, and the respect for risk that you develop now will naturally flow into the next signs, the next habits, and the next breakthroughs that mark the journey of profitable traders. By the time you start noticing the first two signs in your trading, a deeper transformation begins to take place, one that is more subtle but even more powerful. The third sign that you are moving toward profitability is the ability to detach from the outcome of each trade, to separate yourself from the numbers on the screen, and to view trading as a process rather than a sequence of wins and losses. Most traders are enslaved by outcomes. constantly reacting to the market as though it were a personal opponent. They celebrate wins with euphoria and punish themselves for losses with guilt and anger. This emotional roller coaster consumes energy, clouds judgment, and destroys consistency. When this third sign emerges, the obsession with outcomes begins to fade. You start to realize that a single trade, no matter how large or small, does not define your skill or your progress. You execute the plan you have created, follow your rules, and accept the result without letting it dictate your mood or your next decision. The market is no longer a battlefield, but a field of probabilities. A place where your disciplined actions accumulate over time to produce predictable results. This detachment is not cold or robotic. It is the calm awareness of a professional, the kind of mental space that allows you to observe without reacting impulsively. You watch price move, identify patterns, assess risk, and act with intention. You no longer feel the compulsion to chase every movement, to revenge a loss, or to press a winning trade beyond its logical point. Instead, you trade with precision and clarity, understanding that consistency comes not from each individual result, but from the cumulative effect of following your process faithfully. Alongside this detachment, the fourth sign begins to surface: the recognition of your personal edge and the willingness to trust it. Early in your trading journey, every setup feels uncertain, every signal doubtful, and every outcome a reflection of luck or fear. You hesitate, overanalyze, and second-guess yourself constantly. Profitable traders, however, develop a keen awareness of their strengths, their edge in the market, and the conditions under which their strategies work best. They do not trade blindly, nor do they seek guarantees. They understand probabilities and act within the framework of their own tested methodology. Trusting your edge is a skill, cultivated through repetition, observation, and honest reflection. It requires recording trades, analyzing outcomes, and identifying patterns in both the market and your own behavior. You learn when your strategy performs well and when it does not. You notice subtle tendencies in yourself, such as how fear affects your entries or how greed tempts you to overtrade. By observing these patterns and adjusting accordingly, you begin to act with confidence, even in the face of uncertainty. As these two signs develop, a remarkable synergy occurs. Detachment from outcomes allows you to execute trades without emotional interference, and trusting your edge gives you the courage to take trades when the odds are in your favor. The combination of calm observation and disciplined action begins to create measurable results. Small wins accumulate, losses are controlled, and a rhythm of consistency starts to emerge. At this stage, you also begin to notice the quiet power of preparation. The most consistent traders do not rely on luck or intuition alone. They prepare meticulously, reviewing charts, tracking patterns, and identifying high-probability setups before the market opens. This preparation creates a sense of readiness, a confidence rooted not in hope, but in disciplined analysis. When price moves according to your plan, you act decisively, and when it does not, you step aside without regret. Preparation, combined with detachment and trust in your edge, forms the backbone of profitable trading behavior. Another subtle, yet critical aspect of these signs is the way you handle mistakes. Early in trading, errors are often magnified, inducing shame, frustration, and impulsive attempts to compensate. The profitable trader, however, treats mistakes as data, not disasters. Every misstep is an opportunity to learn, to refine, and to strengthen mental discipline. You begin to see that your performance is not defined by perfection, but by how quickly and effectively you respond to errors. This mindset transforms setbacks into fuel for growth, rather than triggers for emotional collapse. As you internalize these behaviors, patience becomes natural. You stop feeling desperate to trade, and instead wait for setups that meet your criteria perfectly. You stop trying to force the market into your expectations and start moving with the flow of probabilities. You understand that missing a trade is not catastrophic, and that the right opportunity will appear again, often multiple times. This patience is reinforced by detachment from outcomes and trust in your edge, creating a mental environment where stress is minimized and decision-making is optimized. Moreover, you begin to notice how self-awareness amplifies these signs. You recognize your triggers, your emotional biases, and your habitual reactions. You develop strategies to counteract them, whether through journaling, mindfulness, or disciplined routines. This self-awareness allows you to operate from a position of strength rather than reaction, and it enhances your ability to execute consistently, even when the market behaves unpredictably. By the time these signs are fully developed, you begin to notice a profound internal shift. Trading no longer feels like a battle or a game of luck. You feel grounded, centered, and in control. Your confidence is steady, rooted in preparation and experience rather than ego or fear. Losses no longer shake you, wins do not inflate you, and every trade becomes part of a larger journey toward consistency and long-term profitability. This stage also reveals the subtle connection between process and patience. The more faithfully you follow your edge, the easier it becomes to detach from outcomes, the more natural patience feels, and the more intuitive your decisions become. You start to trust not just your strategy, but yourself, and this self-trust is the hallmark of traders who move beyond occasional success to sustained profitability. At the same time, the synergy between preparation, self-awareness, and trust in your edge begins to manifest in your performance. You notice that your trades are cleaner, your losses are smaller, and your wins are executed with precision. Market noise no longer distracts you. You are not swayed by emotion, hype, or external opinions. Your trading becomes a reflection of disciplined thought, controlled action, and consistent application of principles. As these two signs consolidate, they lay the groundwork for the final stages of profitability. Detachment and trust form the mental infrastructure necessary for the remaining sign, the one that signals a transition from competent to consistently profitable trading. It is not flashy, dramatic, or obvious to others, but it is unmistakable to you. It is the point at which every small win feels like a step in a reliable process. Every loss is an accepted cost, and your account begins to reflect the cumulative effect of disciplined decision-making. You are building momentum, not through luck or emotion, but through repeated, intentional, and thoughtful action. At this level, you no longer chase markets, no longer hope for miraculous setups, and no longer punish yourself for missed opportunities. You understand that success is not a single trade or a winning streak, but a series of smart, calculated decisions that compound over time. Your mindset is calm, focused, and resilient, and it is this mental foundation that will carry you forward into the final signs of becoming a profitable trader. These moments of growth are subtle, often invisible to anyone watching, but they are profound. They mark the difference between traders who will continue to struggle indefinitely and those who are moving steadily toward consistent profitability. The detachment from outcomes, the trust in your edge, the discipline to wait for the right setups, and the self-awareness to learn from mistakes create a mental environment where success becomes not just possible, but inevitable. By the time you reach this stage in your trading journey, the final sign emerges like a quiet force that has been building beneath the surface. It is the sign that distinguishes good traders from consistently profitable ones. The one that signals you have fully internalized everything that matters about discipline, psychology, and execution. This final sign is the ability to trust the process completely, to follow your rules with unwavering commitment, and to act in the market without hesitation, doubt, or emotional interference. It is the mental state where trading becomes less about winning or losing individual trades, and more about executing a reliable system that produces long-term results. At first, this level of trust seems almost unattainable. The mind constantly wants reassurance, validation, and confirmation. Even after years of practice, traders can fall into the trap of questioning themselves, wondering if the market is tricking them or if a trade is somehow different from all the others they have taken before. But the profitable trader learns to silence this noise. They no longer look for guarantees or fight the natural uncertainty of the market. They act with confidence because their preparation, experience, and analysis have shown them that following their edge consistently will, over time, produce the desired results. This trust in the process is not blind faith. It is informed, deliberate, and tested repeatedly through experience. You know that losses will happen, but you also know they are not failures. Each loss is a single data point, a cost of doing business, a part of the larger system that rewards patience and discipline. You stop overreacting to losses, stop chasing trades out of desperation, and stop letting fear or greed dictate your actions. Your focus shifts from the outcome of each trade to the execution of your strategy, and this shift is where consistency begins to take hold. When this final sign takes root, a transformation occurs in how you perceive risk. Risk is no longer an enemy to avoid or a gamble to take. It is a tool to manage. You calculate position sizes carefully, place stops strategically, and respect your plan in every trade. You stop risking more than you can afford and stop seeking thrills in the market. The thrill of gambling is replaced by the quiet satisfaction of disciplined action. You understand that profits are the natural byproduct of proper risk management and consistent execution, not the goal of impulsive decisions or emotional trading. Another element that emerges alongside this final sign is patience in a way that feels effortless. You no longer force trades, nor do you feel compelled to be constantly active in the market. You wait for setups that match your criteria perfectly and avoid the temptation to act on noise or incomplete information. The market becomes a playground for observation rather than a battlefield for conquest. You learn to see opportunities without becoming emotionally attached to them and to recognize when staying out of the market is the best trade you can make. At this stage, preparation becomes second nature. Reviewing charts, journaling trades, and analyzing patterns are no longer tasks to check off, but habits embedded into your daily routine. This mental and practical preparation reinforces your confidence, sharpens your edge, and creates an internal feedback loop that strengthens both skill and mindset. Every action you take is purposeful, informed, and aligned with your strategy. And the more consistently you operate in this way, the more predictable your outcomes become. What makes this final sign particularly powerful is its effect on emotions. Fear, greed, impatience, and frustration still exist in the market, but they no longer control you. You notice them, acknowledge them, and then act in spite of them. Emotional resilience becomes a hallmark of your trading style. Where others panic or chase, you remain composed. Where others hesitate, you act decisively. Where others let losses accumulate into destructive behavior, you follow your plan calmly and methodically. Alongside emotional mastery, the profitable trader develops a deep understanding of probability. You no longer view trades as certainties, nor do you hope for wins to justify your decisions. Each trade is an event with an expected value, a calculated risk, and a predefined reward-to-risk ratio. You act when the odds are in your favor, and accept that outcomes will vary. Some trades will lose, some will win, but over time, the statistical advantage of your approach produces consistent results. This probabilistic mindset transforms every trade from an emotional gamble into a logical step in a disciplined process. The final sign also changes how you perceive time. You understand that trading is not about instant gratification or chasing quick gains. Wealth, consistency, and success are the result of cumulative action over weeks, months, and years. Each trade is a piece of a larger puzzle, and you measure progress not by individual wins or losses, but by the overall growth of your account and the development of your skills. This perspective reduces stress, prevents impulsive decisions, and allows for sustainable trading habits. Another remarkable aspect of this stage is how it influences learning. The most profitable traders are also the most curious and reflective. You analyze every trade, not to assign blame or seek validation, but to improve your understanding of yourself, your strategy, and the market. This ongoing reflection strengthens your process, sharpens your edge, and increases confidence, creating a cycle of continuous improvement. You begin to notice patterns in your own behavior and in the market that others overlook. And this awareness gives you a distinct advantage. By the time this final sign is fully realized, the transformation from struggling trader to consistently profitable trader is complete. The mental habits, emotional discipline, and practical skills you have cultivated all converge to produce a steady, reliable approach to the market. You no longer fear losses, chase gains, or rely on luck. Instead, you operate from a place of calm, confidence, systematic execution, and long-term perspective. Consistency becomes not a goal, but a natural outcome. Each trade is executed according to plan. Each risk is measured. Each opportunity is assessed without emotional interference. Your account grows predictably, losses are controlled, and small wins compound over time into meaningful results. The chaos of the market no longer dictates your decisions. Your mindset, discipline, and strategy do. This final sign is subtle, often invisible to those around you, but it is unmistakable to yourself. It is the quiet assurance that you are in control, that your process works, and that your growth as a trader is inevitable if you continue to act with discipline and clarity. You have reached a state where every decision, every action, and every trade contributes to your long-term success. Profitable traders also recognize the importance of detachment from external opinions. You stop comparing yourself to others, stop chasing trends because they are popular, and stop allowing social media or peer pressure to influence your choices. Your decisions are rooted entirely in your own analysis, your own edge, and your own disciplined process. This autonomy is empowering, and it reinforces the mental strength necessary to remain consistent. By combining emotional control, detachment, trust in your edge, patience, preparation, probability thinking, and systematic execution, you have cultivated a trading mindset that allows for consistent profitability. The market may remain unpredictable, volatile, and challenging, but your approach to it is steady, resilient, and effective. You operate with confidence, clarity, and a deep understanding of the forces at play, which allows you to navigate any situation with composure and precision. Ultimately, this final sign is a reflection of everything that has come before. The first signs of self-awareness, discipline, patience, and trust in your edge all converge here to create a mental state where consistency is inevitable. Your actions are no longer dictated by fear, greed, or hope. They are deliberate, informed, and aligned with your long-term objectives. You have built a framework for success that does not rely on luck, emotion, or chance. And this framework will support you through every market condition. As you move forward, the key insight is simple yet profound. Consistent profitability is the result of mastering yourself, not the market. The moment you stop reacting emotionally, the moment you trust your edge fully, and the moment you commit to disciplined execution, you shift from struggling trader to one who consistently earns, grows, and thrives. The journey is challenging, but the rewards are real and lasting, and every step you take reinforces the habits and mindset that will carry you to long-term success. The final sign is not flashy, dramatic, or sudden. It is a quiet transformation, a mental evolution, a deep understanding that trading is a reflection of your own discipline, patience, and clarity. Recognizing this sign allows you to operate with confidence, manage risk effectively, and navigate the markets without fear. When you reach this point, you are no longer a trader at the mercy of emotions or luck. You are a master of your process, and your profits reflect the power of consistency, patience, and unwavering discipline. When you look back at your journey, you realize that every struggle, every losing streak, and every mistake was a step toward this final state. You have built a mindset that protects you from emotional traps, guides your decision-making, and allows you to grow your account predictably. This is the mental edge that separates those who struggle endlessly from those who succeed consistently. And now, as you read this and reflect on your own trading, the question becomes, are you ready to take the next step and fully embrace the process that will make consistent profitability inevitable?